Good evening, everybody, and welcome here to the season opener for the TNR DRP Stadium Truck Series as we begin things at Bark River. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Anthony McCreary as we prepare for our qualifying heats, our B main leading up to the main event. 15 laps on tap for that main event. Anthony, you ready to go off-road racing?
Let's do it. We got trucks, we've got an extremely quick circuit, and we've got a lot of passes to be made on this track as well. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of elevation change. Well, that kind of is in the ups and downs part, but first heat's going to have 5 out of our, I believe, 11 drivers to take to the field, and we're going to see just exactly what they can do in our first heat race of the night.
To be Robert Kenny, who's going to be the pole sitter here for the first heat. Standing starts were underway. Bob Giacinto, Vince Valvano, Bill Edwards, and Josh Edmondson are the 5 taking part in this one. 11 corners here at this racetrack.
I think Bill Edwards went off the track just a little bit. He's gotten it back onto the racing surface and has gone through to try and catch back up at the back of the pack.
Giacinto about a truck length behind Kenny. Another half truck length back to Valvano, who's under fire from Edmondson. Correction now, it's actually Giacinto that drops back to the 4th position as I think he ran that corner just a little bit wide.
Up over the ramp towards into this turn, trying to get to the inside of Edmondson is Giacinto, but not able to do it as he's gone off circuit towards the back of the pack, and he's going to fall back into 5th place as the battle for the lead between Kenny and Valvano starting to brew.
Valvano going to take the opportunity of Kenny swinging a little bit wide into that left-hander. The door's still open, and Edmondson might have thoughts about 3 wide. Almost side by side as, some contact. Kenny is going to hang on to it, but man, he got all out of shape, and that puts Valvano out in front.
Barely holding on is Robert Kenny, but has gotten back going. Valvano will try to get away from the field. Bill Edwards is closing back in after spinning around or going off track on the opening lap, going up through to the start-finish straight, and still together is Valvano and Edwards as they continue to battle.
Take a look at the hand motion. You want to know what it's like to drive a stadium truck? My goodness, that's getting close and personal there with Bill Edwards into the driver's side door of Vincent Valvano, and it worked. It got him the top position as Valvano starts to drop back down to the 3rd spot.
Robert Kenny's hit a guardrail at some point, and he's gone to the extreme back of the pack, running in 4th place, and Giacinto is now on the pit lane. Some drama happening with the 23, but we continue to run single file, nose to tail around the ramps, going through into one of these kind of off-camber turns, trying to get up to the back end is Edmondson.
There's a look at what happened to Giacinto in the 23, up and over, and unfortunately having to tow to pit road as the battle for the top position, about 2.5 tenths of a second of Bill Edwards looking back to Josh Edmondson, who, remember, had to start shotgun in this heat race.
And trying to catch back up to the tail end of the field is going to be Valvano as he has an off. Edmondson side by side with Edwards going up to the tabletop at the start-finish straight, trying to hold it up over the right, but he can't quite get it done. Now it's a side-by-side battle for first place between Edmondson and Edwards as Valvano's fallen off pace.
The air and landing point synchronized between the 50 and the 58 as they continue side by side. Longer way around the left-hander there for Edmondson, but still remains dead even. Might actually edge ahead here, and I think he is going to clear for the top spot. Edwards not going to let it go that easily. Still a dead even hit between these two.
Into the right we go, trying to hold it in goes Edmondson, slides in front of Edwards to block the momentum now over the rhythm section, trying to hold it up. Can't quite do it, going to the left, but off camber now. Comes up Bill Edwards, trying to get to the inside. He's got alongside, trying to hold it. Edmondson on the outside is going to go over and try to hold the lead as he's gotten out in front.
At that nice wide swinging angle into the left-hander, nicely planted, and he will open up now about a truck length, maybe truck length and a half between himself and Bill Edwards. Edmondson now trying to set sail here to pick up this heat win. Still about half of this heat to go. Valvano all the way back in the 3rd position, about 4.5 seconds behind Bill Edwards, 5.5 seconds behind the race leader. Kenny still trying to hang tough in the 4th position, and Giaquinto has returned back to the racetrack, albeit 1 lap down. Looks like unless something happens here in the final 2 laps, he's going to solidify down 5th place in this heat race.
Everything gets settled out at the front of the field. Edmondson now pulling out to a lead over Bill Edwards. It's about 2 seconds now, the gap back to Edwards, as Valvano is even further back still, about 8 seconds back to the leader, Edmondson. Robert Kenny even further down the line. He's 20 seconds back to the leader, and Giaquinto is going to be 1 lap down to the rest of the field. So I think it's just kind of in ride mode at this point, getting to the end of the race, getting to the end of the heat to set themselves up for the main event, because the main event is going to be more of this, except it's going to be a lot longer than this race is, with a lot more action on the track. But right now, for Bill Edwards, I think he's just trying to stay in line and get his truck to the end of the race without any damage.
Right now, 3 seconds from Edmondson back to Bill Edwards. You saw there, as we were focused on the 4th place running Kenny, Giaquinto with another off moment. He has gotten it back onto the track, though, and continues on. White flag in the air there for Josh Edmondson. Let's take a look and see how he approaches these corners. Really, in these stadium super trucks, it's all about throttle control, but it's also about how you enter into these corners, especially the sweeping left and right-handers. How you enter is going to determine how you exit, and that's kind of how we saw Edmondson be able to make the pass for the lead on Bill Edwards. Watch here is right there, the left-hander. He's wide to the right, cuts it in, and ends up being on the inside of the corner by the time those 4 tires come to rest.
Also, every track that we're going to go to this season is going to have their own variations of different types of turns and straights and ramps, so we're going to see a lot of these drivers really trying to hang it out and see what they can do. For example, we've got off-camber turns, we've got rhythm sections, we've got tabletops, we've got ramps to go up, we've got intense action all the way around the season. So this is a good benchmark for what we're going to see later on, because we're going to some pretty interesting tracks for these guys. And these trucks, like you said, extremely powerful. The name of the game, throttle control, trying to make it through these turns sideways as best as they can. These trucks love being sideways, as Edmondson rounding the last sector of the racetrack. Looks like he's going to pick up the first heat win tonight.
He is indeed, as he'll take the final jump right across the start-finish line. Checkered flag for Josh Edmondson. Here's Bill Edwards following him around rather slowly there, as he's going to crawl across the start-finish line in the runner-up spot. Here comes Vincent Valvano to complete the podium for this heat. He'll finish in 4th, and we might have had an issue there in the closing stage for Robert Kenny, as he just dropped from 4th to 5th. In the finishing results, Giaquinto is going to get the 4th spot here on the final lap of this heat.
And that will set up beautifully what we're going to see in Heat 2. That's a benchmark for those drivers to try and see if they can accomplish under their heats. I think everyone, given the fact that we only have, I believe, I think it's 11 drivers, maybe it's less than that, but since we only have a limited field, we are going to have I think everyone going through to the main event. So make that 10 drivers, I believe, is going to be in this one. Make that 15, my bad. We have 15 drivers because we'll have 3 heats. I think everyone does advance. So we're set up heat number 2. And we've got drivers such as Garrett Gleason, Lupe Gonzalez, Dave Bodillo, Stephen Cageman, and Tristan Meyer is going to be in this heat.
Green flag out. Again, standing start for these drivers. Looks like Garrett Gleason actually is not taking part here in this second heat, so it'll be a 4-truck race for this one. And as soon as I say that, now Garrett Gleason does get onto the racetrack, albeit from pit road. So Gleason is going to, there he is, going to be all the way back in the 5th position. The monitor will update itself once they all cross the start-finish line. Gleason is not the race leader at this point. It's Dave Badillo who is the race leader. Lupe Gonzalez trying to challenge him for that spot. Also got a good battle going on for the 3rd position. That's where Tristan Maher is trying to hold off Cageman, who I think ran into an issue. He's now on pit road.
Yeah, he is taking it to the pit lane. There's some connection issues, I think, that was plaguing the 22 team. So now it's a 3-way battle between Bodeo, Gonzalez, and Maher at the front of the field. And right now, the 16's got the advantage, but behind them, Gonzalez and Maher are battling extremely close. Oh, almost some contact between the 98 and the 35 coming out of the turn. Now they go through what I'm going to call the be careful section. That's an extremely tough part of the track to get through, and if you send the truck in a little bit sideways, you're going to have some problems. Everyone gets around it. We complete lap 1, only 4 to go.
I remember Tristan Maher started this race in the back, 5th position. The reason being, much like we end up seeing in the first heat with our eventual race winner, is these are drivers that were at the top of the board in qualifying. The higher you qualify, the further back you start in your respective heats. So you got a lot of traffic to have to deal with to be able to work your way up to pick up the heat victory. It's going to be Lupe Gonzalez under fire from Tristan Maher, though, as he might have gotten a little off course. Oh, way off course there. And he is going to go up and over is the 35. Fortunately, lands back on all 4 wheels, but a wild ride for Gonzalez, who's going to drop back to 3rd.
And Mayer's going to go through to try to take the lead of the race over Badillo. He's going to try and do it. He's got the position, he's got clear, but now the 16 is going to have a run back on him, going down the hill now. Can the 16 send it in? I think Maher might be able to hold on to this lead for the moment.
Looks like you are correct, as he's going to have about half a truck length. Got a much better exit that time there through that left-hander, and whoa, look at him slide. Oh, that thing's going to go around. Tristan Maher around in front of Dave Badillo, who's able to clear him, and all of that space that Tristan Maher had been able to pick up in the first 3 laps, he just lost it all right there.
And now he is going to have to battle with Gonzalez right behind him for the second spot, as Gonzalez has got quite a bit of damage on the right, or the left side of the car, trying to hold on to it as they go over the ramp, a little bit unsettled, and the truck lands, but sliding through. Now the battle for second place is Badillo. All he's got to do is just run it out and kind of cruise on to what should be a victory, albeit nothing is set in stone in this series, because as we've seen, everything could happen extremely quickly. But at the moment, Badillo leads, Maher's second, Gonzalez battling for the second place, Gleason running all by himself, and Cageman running around as well, albeit at the back of the pack, 1 lap down.
Right now the gap from the race lead back to this battle for second place, about 5 seconds. But again, as you point out, you can't take anything for granted. This thing is certainly not over. It's very easy to get overconfident, taking a corner and put a wheel wrong, as we have seen already in our first 2 heats. The battle for second place now starting to space out a bit. Lupe Gonzalez, that car looked really squirrely through the center of the corner. He had to get off the throttle. He is losing touch with Tristan Maher. So Maher, for the time being, has secured the runner-up spot, trying to eat back into that race lead of Dave Badillo, and he's actually doing so. That last time by, he gained about half a second, 0.6 of a second, but he doesn't have that much time to work with, as it's less than 2 to go.
Yeah, not enough time in the race, not enough track to be able to make up on it as well. These lap times going by pretty quickly, averaging around 118, the high 1, or make that the high 118s, the low 119s. So that's what we'll expect to see during the race as well. So figure in about 2.5 minutes is all that Maher has to make up, but he's doing it extremely quickly. I don't know if Badillo might not know that he is that close to him, or think Dio's tried to slow the truck down in order to conserve some space or conserve his equipment, but he can't back off too much because there is a very fast 98 quickly approaching him.
Wondered what had happened there to Stephen Cageman, and it looks like he just pulled the car off to the side, or the truck in this case, and brought it to pit road, pretty much solidifying him in the 5th position here for this heat. And my goodness, I don't know how he's managed to do it, but you're right in the same camera shot now, about 1.5 seconds, make it less than a second, is Tristan Maher. We've got ourselves a battle here on the final lap of the second heat.
1 lap to go over the hill, down the hill, and now Maher right behind. Gonzalez also was closing in a little bit, but he's slipped back into a further away 3rd place. But can Maher do it? He's got about a minute left to make this up, and he's pulling closer and closer every single time. He's closed the gap from 3 seconds the last lap to now under a second. He's just hitting these turns much quicker than the 16 is right now, and he's actually using it as a benchmark. He closed in a lot of time right there, almost 0.5 seconds, but gets unsettled at the bottom of the hill. Now he's right there. Oh, he hits the bank on the side, and lost some time, but so
Oh,
does
Badeo!
Badeo!
Oh, they're going to make some contact between the two of them. That straightens Badeo back out. They're still going to be side by side here through the left-hander. Second half of this course to go, and it's Maher now out in front.
Up over the tabletop, down the hill now they go. Can Maher hold the lead? Badeo sends it in. I don't think he's got enough grip in order to make it work. There's a slow truck in front of him, but coming through the final sector. Couple of turns left to go. Over the ramps, can he get to it? And they might be able to do it. Tristan Maher, after spinning around, is going to come through and take the second heat.
What a battle on that final lap. What a comeback for Tristan Maher, who about 3 laps ago I had down and out of winning this heat. And man, oh man, put together some lightning fast lap times to be able to reel in Dave Badeo and pick up this victory. Lupe Gonzalez, Garrett Gleason, and Steven Cageman, they are going to be the top 5 here for this second heat. Sets us up for one more here before we get set for the next stint here, the B main event.
This is going to be an intense bit race because we have the B main with the drivers that weren't quite good enough to make it into the main event. They are going to have their consolation race, and those are still valuable points to head overall into the point standings. So you have to see how they do well there. Set the third heat up really quickly. It is going to be Cam Caldwell, Bobby Trapper, Floppy Taylor, and Tony Lucarelli that are going to be the only 4 in this field. So 14 trucks total here tonight. And the results from this one will set up our A main and B main. We're underway here, and Caldwell is going to get a good jump. It's Tellier and Lucarelli, the only other 2 that took the green flag. So 3 trucks to fight it out for the final spot into the A main. The rest of them will go. I believe actually everyone in this heat will go through to the A main. It might be the top 2. I need to refresh on the rules before we get to the end of the race, but I believe it's the top 3 that advance to the A main. I might be wrong on that, so I'll check that out.
And we'll double check on that as it's going to be Caldwell, Lucarelli now up to second, Mike Tellier back there in the 3rd position. As you alluded to, Bobby Trapper was on the grid scheduled to roll off from this heat, but did not take the green. If he does get on track, then we will certainly document that as Caldwell about a second back to Tony Lucarelli. Lucarelli starting to close in, and Mike Tellier is keeping Lucarelli honest as well. Top 3 all separated by only about a second and a half right now.
Everyone trying to close in on to Caldwell, but Lucarelli and Tellier back behind them haven't really been able to make up any ground as well. So have to make some headway to try and get up to Caldwell. But Caldwell, we've noticed him in other series, and he's been really well at these type of races, and overall just feels really comfortable here. And I say that it almost bends it into the hay bales, but continues on. He will lead lap 1. So Caldwell, you might think one of the favorites going into the A main if he can make it through to the A main. He might just be a favorite on the racetrack, period.
Battle might possibly be more for the race lead than for the second position, as all of a sudden Mike Tellier was slowed through a couple of those last corners. That has dropped him off the back bumper of Tony Lucarelli. We got some great shots inside the cockpit of Tristan Maher back in the second heat. Let's actually go inside of the 41 of Tony Lucarelli. And the thing I love to watch more than anything when we have these in-car cams is the hand motion on the wheel, because I would hesitate to say that out of all the different cars, trucks, what have you that we broadcast, this is the one where they do the most work. This is where those steering wheels get a workout.
Indeed, so these drivers on the edge trying to hold these cars in a straight line, and to do that, it's everything but hold the wheel in a straight line. As now a battle for the lead, Lucarelli been able to catch up to Caldwell, and around the outside of the turn, trying to make it happen. Now to the inside is Lucarelli. He's going to have the advantage, but the cutback from Caldwell might have it sent in to the inside of the track. Goes to 12, and it will slide right up in front of the 41. Going to the line. Who's going to lead the lap? It's going to be Caldwell, but now all 3 of these drivers on top of each other.
Crossover after crossover after crossover. I think we had 3 crossovers in the last 4 corners of that lap. Still 3 to go. Still 3 trucks in the running. Woo, both those trucks with a little unsettled. Look at Mike Tellier. Big run there on Tony Lucarelli for the second position. throw a blanket over these 3 trucks. Any one of them right now have a shot of winning this thing. The question is, who's going to make the first mistake? It almost was Caldwell right there off that corner. Then you had Teller have his left front off the racing surface, and then you had Lucarelli with his right front off the racing surface. So all of these drivers right now not giving an inch.
I'll tell you what, Mike Tellier almost bended off the racetrack. He was up against the banking and trying to hold it straight, and I got the left rear clip just ever so slightly and ended up almost getting sent around, but he's still going straight on. Battle for the lead again between Caldwell and Lucarelli. In fact, everyone, Tellier, Lucarelli, and Caldwell all in a 3-way battle for the lead of the race. This is for valuable points in the heat races. If you win the race, you get 6 points. Everyone in this field that might be corner cut, you might have to concede the position to Tellier, and he indeed does that, so no penalty there. But the way that the heat races work, you get 6 points for winning, and then every position after that is a point lower, so 6 for first, 5th for second, and onward. So these drivers really vying for that extra point. The maximum points that someone can get here is 6 right now. The least amount of points someone can get is only 4. So really everything's up for grabs for these drivers.
Lucarelli now pulling away. 2 laps to go, less than 2 laps to go, and I can't believe that it took me 3 laps to realize that Mike Tellier's running a Hello Kitty scheme. How about that? That bright pink number 97 trying to reel in Lucarelli for the race win, the heat win. Caldwell back there in the 3rd spot. We saw these drivers all close together there at one point. Have things space themselves out, or do Tellier and Caldwell have a last-minute charge here?
I believe that there's still some stuff left for Tellier as he goes to the inside. Oh, he's made contact! And they're both going around, but they were able to save it. And now Lucarelli's trying to get away. The thing that I've noticed, though, whoever's leading the race, they have a disadvantage because the drivers behind are able to mimic how they run and actually find better lines around this racetrack in order to catch up to them. That's something they don't normally see at some tracks, but the way that this works here is because driver in front sails it in, but the guy behind can find out where he's making mistakes and better on it, because none of these laps are driven with any bit of consistency, so it's always a different scope to who can get around this track better or worse. Across the line, 1 lap to go. Lucarelli in the lead, Tellier in 2nd, Caldwell in 3rd, and further back 3rd as he has a bobble going over the start-finish straight. He will lose time over the tabletop, and that is going to send him about 4 seconds back to the leader, but the battle for the lead hasn't gone away. Lucarelli and Tellier still in a heated battle. I would give this to Lucarelli, but Tellier's got some speed late in the race.
Tellier on the last lap was really good through the 2nd third of the course. That's where we're entering into right now. Let's see if he can make a charge. He was able to get to the inside on the last lap, but had to lift as he was almost off of the course. He's going to take a look to the inside at this hooking right-hander. Not able to get there just yet. Still keeping Lucarelli honest. Less than a car length, bumper to bumper through the left-hander here. Is he going to have a shot in the final couple of corners? About 4 corners left here before we take that checkered flag, and Tellier is within striking distance.
Tellier trying it, now cuts back to the inside of the track, trying to make up ground into Sector 3. Can he get the run? Does he sail it in here? I bogged down.
Rotated. Yes, he did. Yep. Well, he might have maybe a shot here into the final corner. He's going to cut it deep. Cutting it deep. Can he get alongside? No contact made. Lucarelli's going to hang on, but Tellier gave it a heck of a run there at the end.
He tried with everything he could, and that's valuable info for later on. You might be able to use that to make it a bit more in, or try to get around to the outside of the track and try to be able to find the better line through there. There's really not a good line through there unless you're running the outside, because there's a bump on the inside that sends you up and you lose a lot of momentum off of that. So have to keep an eye on that one. We are getting ready for our consolation race, which is our B main. Every driver in this field is going to be running for points as well as the A main. There are 8 points up for grabs. We're underway here in the B main as Cageman gets going really well out of the gate. Kenny Gleason is going to slide in, and we've got a lot of trucks back there for I believe it's Tellier on back that's getting spun around.
I believe also Josh Edmondson was there. He was a little bit out of shape. Bill Edwards is the one that lost the most, as he had to spend a long time getting his truck recovered. All of the drivers that took part in the 3 previous heats take part in both the B and the A main, but the field gets inverted. So all 3 of your heat winners, as Bob Giacchino off course for a little bit there, but Josh Edmondson as
Whoa!
well. Oh, and there's just Giacchino flipping and barrel rolling in front of the field, and he's going to end up on the other side of the course.
Yeah, he's gone over into the opposite way of the course, still on his side. Can't get back over is Bob Giacchino. Currently scored the leader, but that won't hold as here comes Cageman to try and pass. Oh, there's another truck splitting back there.
Holy cow, that car, talk about over-rotation. That was over-rotation while in the air as Caldwell goes for a wild tumble. He's teleported to pit road. Two drivers in early trouble here in the beginning stages of this B main. Oh, but almost had another one. Yikes. There's one. Mike Tellier has gone around right in front of the field.
And he's going to lose a lot of positions on this one. Still hasn't got back going the right way. Now he does, but he's fallen back into 9th place. Cageman still leads the way. Mayer in 2nd. Here comes Edmondson trying to get back up into the lead of the race, or the 2nd place as he's sideways. But Gonzalez has spun around behind them and is backed into the guardrail. That's going to be some hazards for all these other drivers. And he's taking it to the garage. So much action happening on the racetrack, and this is all for very valuable points towards the season.
Back to the point I was going to make, all three of the heat winners, Edmondson, Maher, and Lucarelli, they all had to start shotgun on the field being the heat winners. We're not even 2 laps completed in this race, and oh no, Tristan Maher out of shape a little bit there. If we can get the thing refired, then our heat winners have all made their way up to 2nd, 3rd, and 5th.
That's incredible, given the fact that they started so poorly on the start of the race. They've managed to make their way up through the field. Maher battling right now with Edmondson on the inside. Budillo's right behind them. He's found his way in the top 5, and Tony Lucarelli also runs in 5th place. Now the winner of this race will get 8 points. The A main points are worth 15 points, so you don't get as many points out of this one, but considering that most of these drivers, or it's an inverted field, considering that that's the case, then these drivers that maybe need the points are going to capitalize on that, as Mayer almost cuts the front end off of Edmondson.
We've heard about hooking the left rear quarter panel. Have we ever mentioned it where 2 trucks have none of their tires touching the racing surface? Because that's what that was right there off of that jump. It's going to be Edmondson getting the 2nd position away from Tristan Mayer, who's going to challenge back again on driver's left. Now goes to driver's right. Dave Badillo has a great view of this, but he's also got his hands full with the 41 of Tony Lucarelli for 4th place.
Back behind them, Robert Kenny runs by himself in the 6th position. If anything happens up in the top 5 in front of him, then he'll be in a good spot to capitalize. Bill Edwards also in the similar spot, running by himself. You've got Mike Tellier back there as well after going around, and then you have Vincent Valvano with a missing front end after he's had hardships. Garrett Gleason in 10th. Giaquinto running as well after getting some hardships, and Cam Caldwell after a wild flip is still on pit road. I don't think they're going to get that truck fired back for this race, and then Lupe Gonzalez out of this one with a rollover as well. So that is your running order. Edmondson still in the lead of the race, but Maher under battle with Cageman. This is a fantastic battle for 2nd place, and we're only on lap 4, just over halfway through the race we are, and so many! Oh, that's going to be a slide, and that's going to open the door. Oh, go through goes Cageman, and he's going to be able to take the position, but not for long. Here comes Maher on the outside.
Honestly, have no idea how Tristan Maher was able to get all 4 tires planted back on the ground. That car looked like it was headed for Barrel Roll City, as now Steve Cageman going to fall back into the clutches of Dave Badillo. So in a matter of about a lap and a half, he's going to lose the lead and drop outside of the podium. Now it's Tony Lucarelli looking to catch up as well to pick up another spot inside of the top 5. We've got a driver that I think might have had an issue back there. It might have been Mike Tellier in the 97. But he's been able to get the car refired and continue on in the 9th position. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Vincent Valvano, you were talking about the front end missing on that car. I think that earlier contact was when we saw Tellier around. Oh, Edmondson almost over-rotating in the race lead. But I think that Valvano hit Mike Tellier when he was spun around in front of the field. These trucks, though, very durable, able to continue on. He's picked up a couple of spots since we last looked. He was 9th when we dropped back to him. He's now up to 7th place.
Look at this gaggle of cars, 2nd on back to 5th. got Mayer. Well, Mayer's finally gotten out of it, but there was a moment where all of them were up against each other. But Bodillo now, Cageman, and Lucarelli, these three battling for third place. Around the extreme outside goes Lucarelli and Cageman trying to make up some ground. Now they're closing in on Bodillo. Now this is a big battle for third place, the podium spot. That's another big bit of bonus points heading into the A main. So we'll have to see how they can do as over the ramp they go. Bodillo still in front. Cageman is now lost some ground now, falling into the clutches of Lucarelli, who tries to set up the inside. Best battle on the racetrack right now.
Now again, you see Edmondson, Maher, and Lucarelli up inside the top 5. They had to work their way up from the final starting positions. They're going to have to do this all over again if they finish up here at the front. The field will be inverted once again when we get to the A main. Drivers that finish at the rear of the field will start up front. Drivers that finished up front will start at the rear. So Edmondson, while he is in line to pick up those very valuable bonus points, he's going to have to deal with all that chaos we saw at the beginning of this heat race all over again when we get to the 15-lap A main event.
Side by side again for third place between Bodillo and Cageman. I'm sorry, make that Lucarelli and Cageman, as this is actually a battle for fourth place now, as Bodillo's been able to get away from these two battling. It seems that when you are battling side by side, you do lose quite a bit of momentum, as Maher has gone way up the field. Bodillo's now starting to get away from these two, so it'd almost be worth it to not battle and try to save it all for the end of the race. That way you can stay up within a shot to get the lead. Although with so few laps left, it's almost impossible now, I would feel, for Lucarelli and Cageman to catch back up to the likes of Edmondson and Maher, which Edmondson has pulled away dramatically. Right now, running about 7.5 seconds clear of second place, Maher, and from back to him to third place, you've got about 3.5 seconds back to Bodillo. So the battle for second place might ramp up in the later laps, but I don't think there's anybody that's going to be hard-pressed to catch up to Josh Edmondson.
I would agree with you. We saw Tristan Maher pull off a last lap miracle in reeling in Dave Bodillo back in the second heat, but he's got 8 seconds to make up and only 2 laps to be able to do so. And right now he is running about 1.5 seconds slower each lap than our race leader. I gotta wonder too, these battles that we're seeing, you talk about the fact that it kind of loses you ground to the drivers either ahead of you or that are trying to reel you in. I would think part of that would be just visibly when you're racing side by side with somebody else, it's gotta be a distraction.
Absolutely. You're trying to focus on what he's doing so you don't end up hitting him and figuring out where he's going to slot in line. So it's always a battle of looking where the other drivers are. And in these trucks, the visibility is okay, but if you're alongside, you might not be able to see very well to see where the other trucks are, and especially going over the jumps. Which line is he taking over the jumps? Is he going to drift into you? Because after all, once you're in the air, you can't change directions once you're up there. So
Rick Tellier's gone around, and that was a critical spot right there that he lost. He was in the 8th position, the last spot that could get points here in the B main. Robert Kenny just took it away.
And that is going to be a damper on Mike Tellier's points hopes. It's only the first race of the season, so he still has plenty of time to pull himself out of it, but definitely not what he wanted to have for this B main. He's still got one more race, though, that he can make up ground in, so not too panicked at the moment. All these drivers that have had bad luck, once the field gets inverted, the way it's going, Lupe Gonzalez is going to be the pole sitter for the A main. So we'll have to see what that's going to play into as he made an early exit. Garrett Gleason will be starting first place for the A main as the white flag's out for our B main. And it's all Josh Edmondson. He's gotten to the lead of the race and he hasn't looked back, opened up a 10 seconds, actually close to a 10-second lead over the rest of the field, but I don't think anyone still is going to have a challenge up for our leader.
If we have a battle in the closing stages, it will be for 5th. Bill Edwards trying to reel in Stephen Cageman for that final spot inside of the top 5, but that's taking place 18 seconds behind our race leader. There is Cageman in the 22. You'll see the 50 of Bill Edwards coming to view right there. As time by, Bill Edwards was about 2 seconds faster, so he might have a shot. We'll jump back up here to the race leader who's about to cross the start-finish line, Josh Edmondson. won heat number 1. He's about to win the B main, so he's at this point in time looking to get maximum points. If he can sweep and get the A main, he takes the checkered flag. Let's drop back to that battle for 5th place, which still has a few corners to go.
Cageman still has the advantage. Bill Edwards behind, though. Does Edwards have anything for this 22 truck? He's going to try and sail it in, but he got a little unhappy going over the rhythms. Now trying to make it count on the final turn. Not going to be able to do it over the ramp, over the tabletop, and that's going to be it. Cageman will get the 5th place position. Edwards will slot into his 6th place. Vincent Valvano with a missing front end will come around to finish 7th. Robert Kenny and Mike Tellier.
This is the final points paying spot in the B main, and it's getting rough and ready.
Tellier trying to get around. He wants the points. He needs the points. But Robert Kenny looks like he might hold it on as he bogs down ever so slightly to the inside. Here comes Tellier. They make contact over the tabletop. Who gets it?
Who was it?
It was Robert Kenny.
Wow, 15 1,000ths.
Holy cow, that was incredible.
You think points aren't important in this series? Think again. That just gives you an idea of how important they are.
And that is intensely important for Robert Kenny. He ends up with the points. Mike Tellier almost got them at the end of the race. But yeah, as you said, points, extremely valuable. That was 1 point. It was only for 1 point, but that 1 point later on in the season might make the big difference. And you wouldn't expect to see drivers going at it that hard early in the season, this being race 1. But as both of us have mentioned, you want to set your season up fantastically at the beginning of it so you don't have to be playing catch-up constantly throughout the rest of the season. And this is a pretty short season, all things considered. We have Bark River tonight, but then we go to Canadian Tire, Bristol, and we have Charlotte, Crandon, Detroit, Iowa, and Homestead. That's it. That's the whole season. So you have to set yourself up now with some good points paying spots, or else you might have to be playing catch up for the rest of the season.
And I can tell you this from personal experience as well. If you have those races where you aren't able to capitalize on even just 1 or 2 points early on, by the time you get to the end of the season, you will look back on those races and think, if I had just gotten that 1 position, I would have ended up winning this championship. Because I guarantee you, we more than likely, when we end up getting to that season finale, we may end up seeing this championship won by single-digit points intervals.
Absolutely. Given the fact that you can win points at multiple avenues, you have the qualifying that gets you points. You get 6 points if you qualify first, and only the top 6 get points. The top 6 only in the heat races get points, which is, if the field is spread out evenly enough, that would mean everyone would get at least 1 point out of all of that. Everyone got at least 1 point going into tonight's race via the heats. And for the B main, only the top 8 get points. And for the A main, only the top 10 get points. But the difference is now points are worth more. First place will now get 15. Second will get 12. Third, 10. Fourth, 8. Fifth, 6. And then on through there, 5th all the way down to 10th will receive different increments of points varied by 1. So only the top 10 now will get points, which is 2 more spots than was in the last one. So, you know, Mike Tellier had finished in that position the last time out. He would have been fine. He would have gotten 2 points. But now he does have that chance, and we might be able to see some drivers that are just outside the top 10 might try to have some last-ditch effort moves to try and get some points.
How about our heat winners? Josh Edmondson, Tristan Maher, and Tony Lucarelli all managed to finish up inside of the top 4. The only odd man out that wasn't a heat winner here tonight was the 3rd place finisher, and that was Dave Bodillo. I mean, those 3 did a great job of working their way through the traffic in what was only an 8-lap B main. Now they're going to have 15 laps to work with in the A main. They're going to be starting at the back again. Can they work their way back to the front, or do you think that maybe this time they may have to work for it a little bit harder?
They're going to have to work extremely hard to get to the front of the field. They're going to have a lot of trucks, and we saw the last main how difficult it was at the beginning to even get the truck going in a straight line. We saw a number of trucks, at least 2 of them, go over onto their roof at the very first lap. And I'm predicting we're going to see more of that in this one, because now more points on the line, and it's the A main, so there are no more races after this one tonight for these drivers to have opportunity to not only get points, but to get a win tonight. So have to keep notes on some of these drivers, maybe some ditch efforts going into this race, for that win.
It'll be interesting to see what happens here. 15 laps coming up here for the A main, the highest paying event of the night. Josh Edmondson looking to go for the sweep. He won his heat after getting out in front. He all but dominated the B main, but he's going to be starting shotgun once again here on the field for the upcoming A main. That's going to be coming up in just a few moments. The grid's going to be put together momentarily. We're just going to step aside for a quick commercial break and be back here for the green flag at Bark River.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCar. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and Teague. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine.
A main ready to get underway here at Bark River in the season opener for the DRP Stadium Truck Series under the TNR banner. Bobby Trapper, Lupe Gonzalez are scheduled to be the front row for this one. We'll see if either one of them get onto the track. If they don't, it will be Bob Giaquinto and Cam Caldwell that will be leading us to green. Everybody getting onto the grid. Again, standing start as soon as the green flag drops. 15 laps here for our A main event.
Getting set up and ready to go. Only 3 drivers haven't made the grid yet. That would be Trapper, Gonzalez, and Kenny. If they can get on, then that will be a first, second, and 6th spot. So far, our front row isn't even here. We're getting ready to go. Caldwell's had some issues. He's going to be out of this one now as we're waiting for the grid to formulate, and we'll get ourselves ready to go now. If anything and we're going now. So Giaquinto will be the pole sitter effectively. We're underway here. Everyone getting going. And Caldwell's going to come up the outside, trying to make the move on the outside. He's got off the track. Giaquinto now under fire from Mike Tellier, who behind him's got Robert Kenny battling, and they've all gone sideways. Giaquinto's into the barricade. Everyone spanning out behind them. It's going to be Tellier, Caldwell, and Edwards, the top 3.
Like everybody, at least for the time being, is able to keep it pointing the right direction as Giaquinto drops all the way to the rear of the field. Mike Tellier going to go to the point, leaving Bill Edwards, Cam Caldwell, Dave Badillo all battling for the 2nd spot, about 8, 9 tenths of a second behind. Oh, we got a car off course. That's Robert Kenny just on the lower half of your screen.
Robert Kenny trying to get it back on, and Caldwell is sideways. He hasn't gone over. He's gotten pushback going the right way by Lucarelli, I believe that was. And so, no flip for Caldwell, but now he's got some catch-up if he wants to get back to the front. He's made contact with Lucarelli now as Mayer is making his way through the field, trying to catch back up into the to the top 5. He's made his way to the top 5. Now Josh Edmondson alongside of him. Now these two, remember, Edmondson won the last time out.
Lucarelli and Caldwell, they've gone around to the back of the pack.
Well, they made contact, and they weren't able to get off of each other. It looks like, there's been contact again between him and Valvano, so it's all gone horribly for Caldwell, Lucarelli, and Valvano now, as they're at the back of the pack. There's only going to be one spot that these drivers don't get points tonight, and that would be right now held by the 23 of Giaquinto. He's going to have to try and get to the top 10, but the lead of the race, it's Badillo, Edwards, and Edmondson in a battle for 2nd place. Edmondson trying to go through, and behind him, Tristan Mayer trying to come through as well.
Not sure what happened to Mike Tellier. All of a sudden, he dropped down to the 6th position. I don't know if it was connection problems or what, but he was the race leader. So now Badillo out in front, Edmondson up to 2nd, Edwards under fire for 3rd place. I didn't see the 97 spun out, so I can only assume it was connection problems that dropped him outside of the top 5. And I was just about to ask the question with him out in the race lead of just how aggressive he was going to be based on the fact, yes, he got 5 points for finishing 2nd in his heat race, but he got no points in the B main.
Yeah, it's going to be bad news for him. He was in the lead of the race. He almost had the chance to keep the lead of the race, but again, the connection issues being a pain to him, and that's important. He's lost a lot of spots. That's going to be a lot of potential points that he's going to lose. Didn't get any points the last time out, as Seth said, so kind of playing in damage control now. He's got to get back up to the front of the field if he wants to get some points. He had a fast truck the last May, but had some bad luck happen to him. Now, even more bad luck strikes to this 97 team. You got to think maybe he can't catch a break. He's going to try and get back up there, but more time to do it this time. It's a 15-lap event instead of an 8-lap event, so plenty of time now for him to make his way, at least get back to the top 5, as Josh Edmondson back in the lead of the race. He's got Budillo right behind him, and now Bill Edwards slotting into 3rd place.
They call Josh Edmondson the magic man here tonight at Bark River. Twice he's had to start at the tail end of the field, and he's been able to get up to the front past all of the carnage in less than 3 laps. Around Dave Budillo to the top position. Budillo now falls back into the clutches of Bill Edwards, who has kind of had some struggles here in his heat race as well as in the B main early on. Was able to make his way up and salvage a finish inside of the top 8, but much better run right now up inside of the top 3. Tristan Mayer right there as well, and that's a long ways back before you get to a battle that's now for the 5th position, and it's now going to be exchanging some sheet metal as well. That's Steve Cagerman in the 22, Mike Tellier the 97, and Luke Gorelli's trying to make this a 3-man battle.
Trying to get up here to get into the 5th place, or the 4th place, yeah, make that the 5th place position. I read the thing wrong. Lucarelli sends it all the way in to the inside, trying to make some headway up into the 6th place spot, but Tellier continues to hold on to it as over the ramp they go, down the hill up into turn 2. Looks like it's still advantage Tellier, but don't speak now. Here comes Lucarelli around the outside, trying to send it in, trying to get the position away, but so too does Tellier. Crossover by Lucarelli.
Good battling here for the 6th position. This allows Cagerman to get away for the time being with the 5th spot. Tellier not letting that 41 out of his sight, trying to pick up that position and thusly pick up some points. Meanwhile, how about 2nd place under contest? Bill Edwards all over the back bumper momentarily of Dave Budillo. He's going to try and drive it deep there into that left-hander, crosses through the right-hander, and Tristan Maher is about to make this a 3-man fight. This all going up inside of the podium.
And behind, up front, Josh Edmondson continues to extend his lead due to it. About a 3, almost 4-second gap back to the trucks behind him. Budillo now trying to keep in 2nd place. Now Edwards has got a fast truck as well. We saw how well he did in the heat races. Despite his hardships that he had, he didn't have favor so well the last time, the B main, but he's made his way into a 3rd spot, the podium spot. Tristan Mayer, we know how fast he is. We might be able to see him crack into the top 3, but as they run right now, the closest battle still is between this 6th place spot between Lucarelli and Tellier, and this is good news for Cageman. He wants this to keep happening as Tellier's got around.
Oh, just a little too much contact there through the sweeping left-hander. Tellier's going to lose a spot to Vincent Belvano, who's going to slide on by. Drop Tellier in a battle for 6th, now back to the 8th position. He's going to have to try and reform and recharge again. That battle for 2nd place still close also, as we draw close to 10 laps left here in tonight's main event. If you haven't seen it in our YouTube comments, once this race is over, head over to our friends on LSR TV and check out the benefit race that they have there to support driver Robbie Keneally, who lost his shop from a fire. That's over on LSR TV's YouTube channel right after this race, as this battle for 2nd, it's a 3-man dance, and it is between Budillo, Edwards, and Tristan Maher.
Back behind them, Maher trying to keep up with Edwards. Edwards kind of gets a little bit outside. He holds the position slightly, but Edwards is on the charge trying to catch up. Now, the one thing that I've also noticed from these drivers is that they're now running pretty similar lines. We saw in the B main and throughout the heats, they were running a varied format of lines trying to get around these turns, but now they've kind of settled into a run. The track conditions have changed greatly. There's more defined racing surface now for these drivers to get onto, and now that they've been able to run consistent laps, we're seeing which ones are the fastest out of all of them. as Maher's been able to catch back up to the inside. Now he goes on Bill Edwards. You think that maybe this 98 is the fastest of these three. He's just got to figure out a way to get around these drivers because they're running in the fastest line.
If lap times are anything to go by, absolutely he is the faster of the three. As a matter of fact, the last time by in traffic, he only ran about 2-3 tenths slower than Josh Edmondson, the race leader, who's out with clean racetrack, able to pick whatever marks he wants to for his liftoff and landing areas.
And now he is running around the outside. He's gotten around Edwards, trying to get up to Badillo. Now he almost loops it around, but puts his foot in it and is able to hold on to it. I believe these are the versions of the stadium trucks that are all-wheel drive, so that's why you're able to see some of these drivers just sailing into some of these turns and be able to put their foot in it and not spin around. It's really easy to get these cars sideways, but not at all difficult to get them going in the right direction. If these were the versions of the trucks that had the rear-wheel drive, I think we'd be seeing a lot more spins than we are right now, and certainly these drivers wouldn't be as inclined to try and throw them into some of these turns, but we're getting a good show out of it. At the very least, as Mayer pops it up on the inside dirt bank, and that's going to lose him a lot of time. He's hit the other dirt bank, and he's going all sorts of sideways, trying to gather that truck together. Holds on to it, but has lost a lot of time to Badillo.
This type of racing reminds me of road course racing with stock cars, where if you're going through an S's section, if you mess up that first S, it's going to hurt you for the remainder of the S's. Right there you saw with Tristan Mayer, put a wheel wrong. It hurt him in one corner, followed up to his exit out of another corner, hurting him as well. So it's all about rhythm at this type of a racetrack, and when you lose that rhythm, it takes you a couple of corners to be able to get it back.
Absolutely. For a driver, when you lose rhythm, you're set doing laps over and over and over again, and he's hit the wall, and he's gotten stuck on the wall, and he's lost the position back to Edwards, and that's the downfall of losing your rhythm. You start psyching yourself out, knowing that you can hit these turns the way you want to, but you can't quite get your brain to do what you want to. And because of that, it really just is a psychological thing with these drivers. There's nothing wrong with the truck, but because they've had a mishap, they think that something's wrong with it, and they might approach a turn differently, and that's where we see these trucks spin around. But he's still got speed, trying to keep up with Edwards. Now, this is good news for Bill Edwards. He's in perfect position to capitalize on that, and with the laps running down, if he's able to hold off this 98, this is a very valuable third-place spot towards the championship, because he's got some points already this race, or this tonight, so he could get some more points and potentially propel his way into the season.
Yeah, and right now for Tristan Maher, this battle between him and Bill Edwards, it's a difference of 2 points. Third place gets paid out 10 points. Fourth place gets paid out 8 points. So especially at least up inside of the top 5 or 6, what was just 1 point per position back in the B main is now 2 points separation per position. Makes it all the more important to be able to pick up that 1 or 2 spots that Tristan Maher can see right now in front of him with Bill Edwards and Dave Bowden. Now keep an eye on the top of our screen, that 34 of Robert Kenny, as this race draws a close. Kenny is sitting on pit road 7 laps down, but the top 10 finishers get points here in the A main. And Bob Giaquinto, Cam Caldwell scored in 9th and 10th. They've gone to the garage area. Cam Caldwell, Robert Kenny are currently scored on the same lap. So if Kenny could get out there and just complete 1 lap in these final 7, he would be able to pick up a point here in this A main. Caldwell would pick up none.
That is important if you want to get into the championship fight for this season. He's got a lot of damage on this 34 truck to do. I'm not quite sure what he's doing on pit lane. There must have been some incident that happened early in the race that we didn't document. But with Caldwell and Giaquinto going out, and I'm not sure what happened to those 2 drivers either. We saw them in a battle earlier in the race. They might have had an off somewhere and had some major problems of it. Nonetheless, they are out, and Robert Kenny's in the points now. He's gotten out. He's in the points.
Yep, just past Cam Caldwell right there, coming off of pit road. So up to 10th place he goes. He's got actually enough time to move up to 9th place as well. 7 laps to go now, 6 with Edmondson hitting the line, and he's only 2 laps behind Giaquinto for 9th place.
And that's another point that he can add to his points haul tonight. Not much, but at the end of the season, some of these championships could come down to single-digit points. So whatever you can get those points. It might seem little now, but trust me, later in the season, that's where it'll be extremely important. Mike Tellier has gone a lap down, I'm not sure why. I didn't think he had to pit, but something else has happened with the 98.
He's been to pit road 2 laps ago, and say now 3 laps ago, so issues for that 97 car. Don't know if he pulled to pit road of his own fruition or if he had to get towed there, but to your point, 1 lap down, and right now holding down that 8th position. It is now 12 seconds from race leader Josh Edmondson back to Dave Bodeo. This 3-way battle for second place may be the talking point for the remainder of these 5.5 laps.
Absolutely. It continues to heat up. Edwards. Now it's a battle between second place as Edwards has kicked on the Jets late in the run and he's trying to get around the 16. You can still throw Mayer into the mix as well. This top 3 still side by side basically around the tire racing. Well, look at the run. Look at the send that Mayer sent in, but he had to get out of the throttle in order to avoid hitting the 16 or make that the 50 going up through the start finish tabletop. But all of this happening behind Josh Edmondson, who has opened up a 15-second gap back to second place. If you're looking at a favorite for the rest of the season, look no further than this 58 program. They've put on a whale of a truck. They've got a great driver. I think that this driver is going to be a threat for the entire season.
And he will look to continue the dominance he has shown today at Bark River when we head north of the border to the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And that will be very interesting to see what drivers are going to be able to do there. The battle for this second position continuing on, though, between Bowden Edwards and Tristan Mayer. And right now, you talk about the drivers all kind of running the similar lines to each other, nobody really experimenting. I think right now what they're relying on is the driver ahead of them making a mistake to be able to capitalize rather than actually powering up, getting to them and trying to wrestle the position away.
Yeah, that would be a smarter benefit to these drivers because even a little bit of damage that these drivers can sustain on their trucks, it's going to affect them going forward in the race. So keeping it clean, trying to figure out a way to do it without damaging their hopes. And we've also seen drivers that have attempted things and have their trucks spin around. And that's something that might be a little bit on the back of their minds as well, is that we've seen the likes of Caldwell and Giaquinto and Robert Kenny. We've seen the hardships that they've had so far. They don't want to jeopardize their race and their points day because of something like that happening. So running in a bit of a conservative mode for these drivers it's a smart move, but you're not going to make up too many positions by doing it, but they might be saving it for the last 2 laps because we're closing in on lap 13 soon, and that will give us a total of 3 laps to go, with these laps ticking down very quickly.
Kenny with an issue here as he actually just pulled his truck, you can see right there, off to the side in that left-hander. Not certain what was going on there. It's interesting because he was actually just a couple of corners away from moving up into the 9th position, which would have given him another position and another point here in the A main. We'll see if he gets back out there or not. Currently scored in the 10th spot, as this next time by, it'll be 2 laps to go for Josh Edmondson. And you know, you talked about it, the domination out of him here tonight. He ended up winning his heat, had to start shotgun on the field in the B main, worked his way up in about 2.5 laps, dominated after he got out in front, won the B main, had to start shotgun again here for the A main. Took him about another 2.5 to 3 laps to get up to the front, and now enjoying over 15 seconds back to the battle for second, third, and fourth. Bodeo, Edwards, and Tristan Maher. I think you're absolutely right with your statement. If you're looking for a favorite, for somebody to kind of be your measuring stick of who you're going to have to beat this season, Edmondson might be that guy, and that's what you want to do. First race of the season, you want to be going out there and saying, hey, you want that championship trophy? You're going to have to go through me.
And we have a lot of different types of tracks that we're running to this season. We've got tonight a traditional super truck course or it's more of a land rush course for these drivers that they have to run on a nice wide, lots of undulations through the track. It's nice caked on mud that these drivers were racing on tonight. But then we go to some other tracks, such as the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That, I believe, is not going to have dirt on it. I believe that's just running the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the course there. Now, the difference is that in this series, there are no track limits at these other tracks that we go. Oh, there are track limits, but within reason. So you can drive off on the grass in some of these tracks that we're going to go to, and I'll mention those in a few. But that, we all know Canadian Tire. It's a track similar to this, except it's all on asphalt for that track. But then we go to Bristol, which is going to be an oval for these guys, running on the Bristol dirt circuit. So we'll have to see what these drivers can do on the oval. Some drivers might favor the oval track, as Josh Edmondson has lost it onto the pit straight.
Is he short on fuel? Is this a fuel call?
He's not going to lose the lead. He had a 20-second gap. I think he's just pulling in to make sure that he's doubly sure that he can make it on the end of the race. He's come back out onto the track. Didn't lose the lead. He was at about a 20-second lead back before he made that stop. It's gone down to 8 seconds. So just making sure he could make it to the end of the race. But 2 laps to go for our leader. But then we go to Bristol, which is going to be the oval. So we'll see who can be the best of the rest at an oval circuit. Then we'll be going to the Charlotte Road Course, which is going to be another hybrid track. White flag in the air, my bad. And then we go to Crandon, which is a track like this. We go to Belle Isle, Iowa, and Homestead, and Iowa is going to be the road course. So we have a lot of different types of tracks for these drivers to conquer this season. We'll have to see if Edmondson can hold on. No, but now we got a big battle for second place.
We were rubbing doors for about that entire right-hander. Tristan Maher trying to get into this as well. Edwards going to move to second after he roughed up Bodeo, and now Maher trying to jump into the final podium spot. Ooh, a little bit there with the left front tire hitting the curb. That might have lost him the momentum he needed, and now really swinging that back end out there up the jump. Now it's going to be the battle for second place, I believe, coming back to the checkered flag, but smooth sailing for Josh Edmondson as he's going to come through the final couple of corners to be looking for that checkered flag. What a dominating performance for him here at Bark River. But you talk about next week at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, I think we're going to be talking a lot about Moss Corner. You got to wonder if Josh Edmondson's already looking forward to that one.
Look at the battle for second place, and Edmondson's going to come through the final turn to win tonight at Bark River in dominating fashion. He crosses the line first. Who's going to cross the line second? It's Edwards, but Dio and Thromeyer into the mix. Side-by-side contacts made. Up and over, both trucks sliding. But I think it was Edwards.
It was indeed Bill Edwards getting second place. Bodeo came down to rest on his roof, but he'll cross the line in third. And Tristan Maher, who was hoping that both of them might wreck before the start-finish line, he'll have to settle for fourth. Lucarelli is going to be the completion of the top 5.
That's an incredible finish. It's kind of like our last heat race that we had, where we had drivers rubbing doors on each other trying to get to the end of the race. It's kind of like our last main event race where we had the same thing happen. So second place battle goes to Bill Edwards. Dave Padilla will get third place. But our winner tonight, Josh Edmondson, again, a dominating performance by this 58 team. They got out to about a 20-second lead at one point, and then he came down pit road, I think more or less just to have a little bit of fun spread throughout the race. I don't think he needed to, but he did anyway. And he will be our winner tonight and sets his season off right with a first-round win.
Yeah, and he gets max points here tonight as well, which is going to total, if my math is correct, 35 points. That's the most you can get in a single race. You get 6 points for the pole in qualifying, which he did. You get 6 points for winning your heat race, which he did. 8 points for winning the B main and 15 points for winning the A main. He swept every single race he took part in here tonight, and he is going to have himself a pretty sizable points lead when we get to Canadian Tire next week. But how about some of these other guys soldiering on to finish up here inside of the top 10? Steve Cageman in 6th. Vincent Valvano will finish in 7th. Mike Tellier 8th. Robert Kenny did indeed get that final lap that he needed to be able to get ahead of Bob Giaquinto, so he will finish in ninth, and Giaquinto will get the final points paying spot here of the A main, finishing in the 10th position. Cam Caldwell's just going to miss out. Bobby Trapper and Lupe Gonzalez did not take the green flag here for this A main event.
So that will senior out our finishing order, and that is going to be a huge implication for the points as well. Out of this, Josh Edmondson going to be the points leader. As for second place in the standings, we believe it might go to Tristan Mayer based on where he's finished tonight. It'll get you fourth place, and I believe a second place the last time out on the A or the B main. So he will get, I believe, second in the standings once you tally up his qualifying and his heat points as well. As for third place, I think we have a bit of a toss-up between some of these drivers. Some drivers that, again, has some bad luck tonight will be Cam Caldwell, who found himself upside down in the B main, ends up finishing 11th tonight, just outside of the points paying spot. And Robert Kenny, however, will finish in the points, and he will get 1 point out of this after a pretty dismal week that he'd soon to forget.
I'm not sure what the points exactly will look like, but I think you got Edmondson, Tristan Maher, Bill Edwards, Dave Badeo, and Tony Lucarelli. I think those are going to be you guys up inside of the top 5 when we get to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park next week. Does not look like we have either Dave Badeo or Josh Edmondson available here for a post-race interview, but we do have our second place finishers, so let's see if we can talk with Bill Edwards. Hey, Bill, it's Anthony and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Man, a great run for you here in the A main. We saw you hit a little bit of early hard luck in the B main, but mounted a bit of a comeback there as well. But first off, I just got to ask, how much fun were you having out there with the slipping and sliding, the bumps out there at Bark River? Because I'll tell you what, I was nervous for every single one of you up here in the booth.
It's just crazy. These trucks are such a blast, and all these guys that we run with here, that Dave and Tristan, which is the ones that I was around all night. We all raced. I mean, we were pretty much bumper to bumper for 18 laps or 15 laps, whatever it was, and all kept it clean and had a good run. It was a good time.
You certainly were able to really stretch the legs of these trucks and able to pull out to some pretty considerable leads in second place, and was able to actually hold off everybody behind you. How was the racing out there? How was the track conditions? Because it certainly looked like you could throw them sideways and make it work. And that battle between you and Badillo at the very end of the race, making contact, how difficult is it to make a pass here, and how difficult it is to hold your position?
It's more difficult to pass than it is to hold your position. You can drive pretty wide with these things, so and sometimes you kind of got to do that and position it in the right spot where if they do try to pass you, they're just going to give you a bump and give you a little boost forward. But passing is difficult. You're pretty much just riding, trying not to kill anybody, and hoping they make a mistake.
Now, we saw that obviously with the dirt, you guys are able to kind of dirt track it, be able to cut the corners in, let the back end swing out, and be able to find some grip there for the rear end of the truck. Next week, we go to the first paved road course on the schedule at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So, what's some of the adjustments you have to make as a driver when you're racing on dirt to then go the next week and be racing on asphalt?
It's a lot different, a lot more three-wheel in it, a lot more heavy braking. Got to save the tires a little bit. It's a whole different beast, but I love Motorsport. We did it last year, and I think the year before that, and it's really fun tracking these trucks. There's some tight turns, and makes for some great racing.
It's awesome. Great racing here tonight. Congratulations on the second place finish here in the A main, getting some very valuable points there heading into next week. An exciting finish there for second place as well. Bill, we're now going to turn the mic over to you. Let you thank some sponsors and do some shout-outs.
Are here for putting this on, having you guys broadcasted up at FRN, you guys up in the booth. Thornton Graphics, all these guys I race with, failedconcepts.com. My teammates S2R, which none of my teammates are into these trucks, but I got a bunch of them that helped me out over the years. And I got to say hi to my mom. My mom was watching.
That's Bill Edwards, second place here tonight in the A main event at Bark River Speedway. Congratulations, Bill, on a great run. Looking forward to seeing you next week when we head up to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Sounds good. I can't wait.
And we still do not have the other two finishers of our podium available here for interviews, so interesting to see how those two are able to follow up their good runs here tonight. Of course, Edmondson dominating this race. Badeo was not the winner of his heat, but he was certainly a force to be reckoned with in the B main and here in the A main as well, up inside of the podium. And going to be really interesting to see how these drivers do make that adjustment when we get to the paved asphalt road course of Canadian Tire next week here, Anthony.
Absolutely. It's going to be a track kind of similar to this in the sense that the elevation change is going to be very present. Being on it's going to be a bit of a hybrid circuit because they will be able to race on the grass around the track. However, they are going to have to deal with the asphalt as well. But turn one at Canadian Tire is an extremely fast downhill right turn, and then you head into a continuing to go downhill into a left. It just the elevation change and the high speeds are going to make it interesting. And after all, we have that final turn, that the sector 3, where we have seen quite the controversy in a lot of past races at that track, and I wouldn't imagine that we're going to see any different.
Absolutely. Well, it should be a good one following up on the heels of an exciting season opener here for the TNR DRP Stadium Truck Series, as Josh Edmondson is your winner here tonight at Bark River. Again, hope you guys join us next Tuesday night. We're going to be bringing you the doubleheader once again with the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series, followed by the DRP Stadium Truck Series. Should be some good racing next Tuesday night. The Big Block Series gets started with the green flag at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then the stadium trucks will follow at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to join us for that one. Once again, be sure to head over to our friends at LSR TV for the benefit race that is running over there. Show a little bit of support and enjoy some good racing on that one. Anthony, it's been a thriller here tonight. We got treated to dirt flying twice here this evening with the big blocks and the stadium trucks, and neither one disappointing. Some great finishes in both.
Absolutely. We saw the best of the entire field tonight. Josh Edmondson, again, the best out of everybody here tonight, but a lot of drivers that we're keeping an eye on to go through with the season and do well throughout the entire season, and it's been fun. I'm glad that we get to do some truck racing.
Absolutely. Hope you guys enjoyed our coverage here tonight as well, and hope you'll join us once again next Tuesday night for the continuation of this season at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. But for Anthony McCurry, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening, folks, as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of...
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for